Have you ever wondered what sparked the cataclysmic event that was the American Revolution? What series of events led the 13 colonies to rebel against one of the world's most powerful empires? Our journey begins in the mid-18th century, a time when the American colonies were still under British rule. The colonies were flourishing, but their relationship with their mother country was strained. The seeds of discontent were sown in 1763, with the Proclamation Line. This was a boundary established by Britain to prevent colonists from settling beyond the Appalachian Mountains. Next came the Sugar Act of 1764, meant to end the smuggling of sugar and molasses in the colonies by reducing the previous tax rate and enforcing the payment of the duty. Despite this reduction, the colonists were displeased. They had no representation in the British Parliament that decided these taxes, and thus the phrase, "no taxation without representation," was born. In 1765, the infamous Stamp Act was passed, imposing a direct tax on the colonies for the first time. This act required that many printed materials in the colonies be produced on stamped paper produced in London, carrying an embossed revenue stamp. The colonists' discontent escalated, and in 1766 they celebrated the repeal of the Stamp Act, only to be met with the Declaratory Act, asserting British Parliament's authority to pass laws binding the colonies in all cases whatsoever. The tension continued to build with the Townshend Acts of 1767, which imposed duties on many items imported into the colonies. The Boston Massacre in 1770, followed by the controversial Tea Act of 1773, and the subsequent Boston Tea Party, were the final straws that broke the proverbial camel's back. Now imagine being at the helm of this growing tension. King George III, the then ruler of Britain, had a pivotal role in the American Revolution. He was the figure that represented the British authority that the colonists were increasingly resisting. King George III was stubborn and resolute. He was determined to bring the American colonies to heel. He saw the American Revolution not as a desperate bid for independence by his American subjects, but as an insurrection by a few disgruntled troublemakers. His response to the Boston Tea Party is a prime example. He supported the punitive coercive acts, known to the American colonists as the Intolerable Acts, which only served to stoke the fires of rebellion. His refusal to negotiate or compromise with the American colonies was a significant factor in the escalation of conflict. In the eyes of the colonists, King George III was a tyrant. His policies and actions, driven by a staunch belief in the absolute authority of the monarchy, were seen as oppressive and unjust. To summarize, a series of legislative acts imposed by the British Parliament, coupled with King George III's uncompromising stance, led to mounting tension and discontent among the American colonists. This culminated in the American Revolution, a conflict that was as much about asserting democratic ideals as it was about achieving independence. The American Revolution was not just a change in political control, but a transformation in thought and principles. It was a revolution that marked the birth of a nation founded on the ideals of liberty, equality, and self-government. And at the heart of this conflict, King George III was a figure of uncompromising authority whose actions helped ignite the flame of revolution. And so, the American Revolution stands as a testament to the power of collective resistance against perceived oppression and the enduring struggle for representation and self-determination.